What's up, YouTube? In today's video, I want to take the third place Master Yi build from RQ Vancouver out for a test drive, maybe play a game or two with it. I talked about this in last Wednesday's meta coverage video. I'm particularly intrigued by this Master Yi build, mainly because of the battlefields. The battlefield choices in this deck are very atypical and very interesting. You look at a battlefield like Emperor's Diaz, I still don't know how to pronounce this card, but I think it's called Emperor's Diaz, where you can recycle things like Scuttle Crab for additional draw, which a lot of times Master Yi really needs. You can recycle Pit Rookie for additional buffs, maybe even some Rengars once in a while for more surprise defending. You've got Seat of Power, which I was really interested by. You don't typically think of Master Yi as a double Conquer deck, but again, draw power is something Master Yi benefits from very heavily. So being able to lock down the other battlefield and then eventually take over the Seat of Power is going to be really good for a Yi deck. And then you have Star Spring, which really takes me back to like my set 1 and 2 testing for Master Yi. I haven't played much Master Yi in set 3, but in set 1 or 2, what you would typically do is like take your smaller unit that you were defending with, play a bigger unit into that battlefield, and then retreat the smaller unit because you wanted to apply Master Yi's passive to a bigger, stronger unit. However, Star Spring gives you an advantage for doing just that because your smaller unit or whatever unit you retreat out of the Star Spring is going to be active, so it can move over to the other battlefield and you can double conquer or hold and conquer, which is really good. Main board also has interesting tech options as well. I haven't played with the Rengar surprise defending shenanigans yet, so I'm excited to give that a spin. Also, Houses Are Big, which is the pilot and creator of this deck, talked about on Twitter how Primal Strength was an MVP card for him, so I'm looking forward to see how that card performs as well. We're going to take this deck out for a spin, maybe play 1 or 2 games. So if that sounds good to you, don't forget to subscribe, like the video, share the video with a Master Yi fan, and let's go ahead and get right into it. All right, one last text look at the deck list before we select our battlefields. Let's also take a look at our opponent. We're playing up against Azir, so a very meta-relevant matchup. Now let's see, these are all a little bit tough. I'm a little curious to know which one is meant for the blind game 1, because they're all kind of good for when you go first. Emperor's Die is like thought of to be an Azir battlefield, but they don't actually benefit too much from bringing their units back to their hand. They kind of just make more tokens by doing this. Seat of Power, Star Spring are all a little bit suspect. I think I'll start with the Emperor's Diaz, and he gets to pick who goes first. All right, so we'll go with our mulligan here. We have a 2-drop, we have a Rengar, and Defy and Grim Resolve. Honestly, this seems pretty fantastic. Can't really be too upset about it. So I think I'm just going to go ahead and fully keep that. Rengar especially good because we're going second. So let's see what our Azir opponent has in store. No turn 1 equipment. That's always going to be very good news for us. We'll go ahead and play a Poro, and we will pass. Looks like we might have drawn into a Soul Sword. Go ahead and play the Sand Soldier, equip the Soul Sword to the Sand Soldier, 2 open energy, but I'm not too worried about it. All right, so let's see. I do have 5, so I could just do the very classic play of moving Poro up to the Hall of Legends just to prevent him from actually going there. Pass focus, he'll pass as well. And then, I mean, yeah, we can just keep up 5 for Rengar. I could also just play my Master Yi to get it ready for next turn. I could threaten, no, I can't threaten punch first because I don't actually have a second orange rune. So, you know, I think that a very like noob play is to kind of like tap out for Rengar as soon as someone runs into it, especially in Azir where they could have something like a Hidden Blade. Yeah, I would draw 2, but like it wouldn't be the best thing in the world. So I think I'm just going to play this and look to play Rengar when I actually have some more open energy. Like I have this Defy to protect the Rengar, so I think that's a little bit of a better play. All right, BF Sword coming down, probably getting equipped to the Sand Soldier right away. Just getting my markers ready for my increased might. So yeah, this is going to be huge. This is going to be like a 6. So even though I go up to 4, that doesn't matter. I do get to draw a card. That is going to die. This is a little bit of an awkward turn for Azir because he hasn't enough energy to play 2 Sand Soldiers because he wouldn't have enough to also pay for the Hall of Legend. So he'll play 1. He'll keep all the equipment on this one in the battlefield. So let's see what our best play is going to be. This is 6. We have the ability to get up to 7 and start generating some XP. So it's a pretty clean kill. He does have the potential Defy for the Grim Resolve. However, I could have the Defy for the Defy. So that seems pretty good. You'd have to spend quite a bit of power to get those units back on the Sand Soldier. So I think I want to go with that play. I'll probably rip the Grim Resolve first just to see if it gets a Defy out of his hand. So let's see about doing that. We will target our Master Yi. Just wait to see if he actually lets that go through. All right, so that's going to resolve. So this is going to go up to 7. I could be just forgetting about something, but I don't think I'm too worried about one open yellow in Azir. Let's go ahead and swing up here for 7. Fast focus. What are we playing for 1? Is it going to be a sacrifice? Actually going to be an on guard. So I do have the discipline to match that, so I'll let that resolve. That's fine. I will go ahead and cast the discipline to go up to 9, draw a card. I also draw into the punch first, which is very, very strong. All right, so we're going to generate a bunch of XP there. Grim Resolve will give us 2, as well as the Hunt from the Master Yi. So that's going to be 4 XP. Obviously, I don't benefit from using Hall of Legends, so that's fine. I'm going to go ahead and grab my Conquer point. So now, with my remaining energy, I honestly don't hate the idea of charming up this Sand Soldier before it gets equipped with a ton of equipments, because I don't have any more defensive spells besides Punch First, and if I can not have to use Punch First, that's pretty nice, to be honest. So I think I will go for that play here. We'll bring the Sand Soldier up here. That'll technically go to 11. He just puts it in the trash as a shorthand. And then I will pass bluffing to open energy, bring this back down to 4. Pretty solid so far. Obviously, we got a little bit fortunate that there was no turn 1 equipment played. So we'll see if we can capitalize on that momentum. Having a full 6, maybe an Arise is coming down. Yep, so this is going to be play a 2 Might Sand Soldier unit for each equipment you control, then ready 2 of them. That is going to be fine. I still do have the Punch First if he decides to fight me here. All right, so he's going to move in with 5 plus 3 to go to 8. I go up to 6. Now, what did he play for 1 last time? Played an On Guard, so that's not going to get in the same value here. So I'm assuming he's passing focus there, which he is indicating he is. So I think we just rip the Punch First. Going up to 11. And he's going to call for a GG. Yeah, that's just the insane power of a Punch First, kind of leading to a blowout. So pretty quick game. Let's see if we can go into a second one. All right, getting into the second game here. Let's see what we're up against before we pick a battlefield. Up against Diana, so another meta-relevant matchup. I can see this one being a little difficult because he has a lot of ways to not actually have to fight us between like Starcross, Ride the Wind, moving around, stuff like that. I think I feel pretty okay about starting Seed of Power. I don't have a ton of experience with this battlefield in this particular deck, and I do feel like double conquering can be tough. But we'll go ahead and give it a shot. He gets to pick who goes first. Another Abandoned Hall out here. So let's see if we can actually beat over that. We do have the battle buffs to try and do it if we draw the right combinations of cards. We'll go into our mulligan. We have a turn 1 play going second, so that's not the worst. Rune Runner is not bad. We also, of course, have the Master Yi in the Chosen Champ Zone for turn 2. Defy, I think, can be pretty good here. On Guard as well. Honestly, I feel kind of okay with keeping this. Let's see if he has a turn 1 unit to play. All right, starts with Raven Bloom. Honestly, pretty strong start for him. We will start with the first mate. Obviously not super ideal because we're playing it essentially without an effect, but we don't want to give up that ever important board presence and tempo. The Raven Bloom will go over to the Abandoned Hall. Now that's going to be a unit on steroids, basically. Almost feel like I have no shot of actually swinging into that, but we'll see. Defy could go pretty crazy here. This is the type of play, if you guys don't know about the inner parts of the rules of Riftbound, I think that the spells actually have to resolve in order for the Abandoned Hall and the Raven Bloom to actually go off. He will swap, however, the Tide Turner with the Raven Bloom, so maybe his hand's not looking too good in terms of setup. So I think I just walk this into the Abandoned Hall, force him to use spells, and if he does use spells, I have spells that can do stuff. So let's go ahead and pass focus there. He will pay 3, including his leader. So that's going to be Eclipse. Now, I should have a pretty free Defy there, because that would put me to -1, right? So I think I have to kind of rip the Defy. That is going to put me up to 4, because I did resolve a spell. I'll score there. Still having enough energy to play the Master Yi Tempered. However, this is honestly extremely bad if he plays Moonfall. So I have 2 choices. I can kind of pass and leave energy open for interaction, which I have plenty of interaction. Yeah, that honestly seems better. So I think I'll just do that. He either has to walk in Ravenbloom and commit a bunch of spells, or he has to just establish like a Hui, which honestly is quite good for him. So wouldn't be the worst play in the world. But yeah, I think just playing the Master Yi Temper there would be a misplay if he has a Moonfall. Yep, we have to let that go through with the Ravenbloom. Looks like Hui is coming down. Using a stack deck, sure, sounds good. All right, so we will hold at the Abandoned Hall. The rough thing is I'm going to let him go to 4 next turn, probably one way or another. The Hui probably pretty easily swings over our first mate, especially if he discards a unit. So I think my best option is probably pull back the first mate, get the Rune Runner set up and ready to go, and then next turn I have spells to protect it. I could alternatively just play Rune Runner up here, but I don't have anything to protect it if I do that. So I think my best option is just to do this. Pass the turn over. Very unfortunate we have to give up the tempo here, but we're kind of doing this with the hopes of taking control of the game back over, and it's going to be much easier to attack into a Hui rather than defending against it when it can potentially go up to 8 might very easily. All right, Hui moves up to the Abandoned Hall. That's going to be all good on my end. Obviously I have no energy to actually interact with that, so he'll discard an Acceptable Losses, which makes sense. Pretty dead in this deck, or in this matchup I would say. So he does get some pretty solid card draw there. He is going to go to 4 points. Kind of hoping he commits some energy to some units so I have an easier time getting over this Hui, but we'll see. 3 for the Chosen Champion makes sense. My one saving grace is that the Rune Runner can't be targeted by spells, so no Star-Crossed, no Rebuke, no Eclipse. All right, so we do top deck Azonias, which is pretty good. I think I could play that and then still commit a bunch of energy to spells here. Maybe at the end still develop a Lonely Poro. So I think I'll go ahead and just play the Zonias outright. He did also just pitch an Acceptable Losses, so hopefully he's not sitting on another one. But I do want to preemptively play it in case I do lose the trade on the Rune Runner. At least I won't lose the Rune Runner. So I think we'll move this in. And honestly, with the Zonias, maybe I'm just okay to trade and let him act first. That is an option. Thinking. Okay, This is tough. I mean, Discipline gets 3 over, and that should be pretty good against just about anything he can do. And I also want the Seat of Power draw, but I think I will commit this to the Rune Runner. He's thinking, could go for a Hard Bargain or an Abandon or something, although neither of those seem incredible here. I mean, actually, he could repeat Hard Bargain, but then I would still just follow up with the On Guard. Not that he knows that I have that or anything, but let's see what his response is. All right, so he will go Hard Bargain. I wonder if he's baiting me into paying 2 for this and then going to play another Hard Bargain. I think I have to take that chance, though, because, again, I have the On Guard, which is perfectly fine. So I will pay the 2 for the Hard Bargain. Maybe he just really also needs that to go through in order to get the Abandoned Hall buffs. All right, so this one's going to resolve, so I'm going to go up by 3 and draw a card, and it's going to be 8 to 6 at the moment. He will go ahead and Stupefy, but he can't Stupefy the Rune Runner. He's just going to use that as a means to bring Hui up, which is definitely solid. Still not quite enough to get over a Rune Runner, though. I do also have the Grim Resolve that I just drew, which is a pretty insane draw. I wonder if he actually has enough to get over this Rune Runner. It would kind of have to be like 2 more Stupefies, and then he wouldn't even totally get there. Okay, so Hui is going to die. That's absolutely huge for me. All right, and then we can move in the first mate. He will be able to basically trigger my Hourglass in a way that I don't want him to, but I think it's kind of worth the draw, as well as worth getting on 4 points here. Oh, the Charm is pretty huge because I still have the On Guard to protect things. Okay, so I think I'm drawing a very fortunate sequence of cards here, but that's card games, right? So we're going to move the Diana up here. So that's going to go up by 3 because I played a spell and also get my Master Yi passive. He has the option of, yep, getting that, seeing if he hits a spell on top. Predict first, obviously. See if he wants to put it to the bottom. He will grab a Gust. I don't know if putting first mate back in my hand is his best option, but it is an option for sure. He's actually going to Gust his own Diana. Okay, very solid play. Very solid. Okay, still gets off the board, so still sets him back in terms of tempo. So I will pass, set my units back to their regular amounts of might. And I still have the on guard to play some defense with, so that feels pretty good, all things considered. He did drop a couple of spells. His hand's obviously still pretty healthy, so this Raven Bloom could get pretty big. Gonna drop a Fizz. He'll play the Gust. He'll hit the first mate. Okay. So that seems like no matter what, my Zonia's is going to protect the Rune Runner. If he invests enough to actually get over it. So, yep, that's fine. Another Hui coming down probably. So he'll commit to the Vex Cheerless. He has 2 energy to play defense with here. I am down a point, so I can't just sit on this side of the board and not deal with this. The question is, do I have enough overall resources to deal with it? He has the potential to increase this Raven Bloom by a +2, getting up to 9. I would be taxed on anything I decide to activate going over to this side. I would have to like bring the Rune Runner back, use the first mate to ready it. That leaves me with 6 runes. I think with 6 runes, I could probably get there. That would give me enough to play 2 spells. And then maybe I can also buff the Rune Runner, but also maybe not. This is a tough one, not going to lie. This is a pretty tough one. Alternatively, I can just sit back, develop in my base, leave the Rune Runner up here. Or do something else like play a Master Yi to the Abandoned Hall, so this way I can bring the Rune Runner back. That might also be a really good option. And honestly, I think that's probably one of the better options. Or I can just play another Rune Runner into base. That also seems pretty good, to be honest with you. Rune Runner plus maybe a Pit Rookie. Not too worried about him rushing over to the Rune Runner battlefield, to be honest. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We play this Rune Runner to base. And then I can still leave energy open for interaction. He could like ride the wind over Vex, in which case I'm not going to have a lot of opportunity for interaction. But I think this is pretty safe, because setting up this Rune Runner is going to allow me to get into that next battlefield and do a lot. So I think we'll pass here like this. I can also just like pseudo accelerate any unit with first mate, so I don't feel too bad about this. He'll pull back the Raven Bloom, maybe also the Vex to prepare for next turn. And then I can try to set up a double hold. He would have to double conquer to win next turn. Hui is coming down. That's honestly going to be kind of tough to beat. And then Diana Chosen Champion comes down as well. Okay, Defy is a pretty good draw. I can see that working out pretty well in my favor. The Rune Runner is going to go up, and then... sorry, my point score is going to go up to 6. This Rune Runner will go up to the Seat of Power. Pass focus there. He'll pass focus as well. I'll go to 7. I'll draw a card. Okay, so... we have a lot of super defensive spells. I think I honestly just keep all my energy open and just try to go for this double hold. Like, we know for a fact he can't Starcross or Rebuke either of my Rune Runners, so I might have him under a lock. Even with the Vex, I think I have a lot here. So let's just kind of point it out. So I have 4, possibly a 5 cost spell with Vex. We have the 1 cost On Guard. We have the 2 cost Grim Resolve, so that's going to be a minimum of 6, 7 energy, maximum of 10 energy required. The main thing I'm thinking about is, like, I kind of want to play a Pit Rookie to get a buff because it's more stats. But depending on how he swings with the Vex, I might have to not do that. However, alternatively, wherever the Vex swings, I probably just let that go. The biggest problem I'm going to have is if he rides the wind with the Vex. Although I do have Defy for Ride the Wind, so I probably have to just keep that available to me. But I think I just pass here. I don't think the buff is necessarily worth it, because I need to make sure that I can pay for the Defy and still use all my combat spells. So I think by playing this way, I should have a pretty good chance of winning here, but we'll see how crazy his hand is. Since I'm on 7, again, the first Rune Runner that gets targeted, I can pretty much just let that go. Looks like they'll start with 3 energy and a power for a Fizz. What is the Fizz going to play? It's going to be a stack deck, which makes sense because he can't target either of our Rune Runners with Eclipse or Stupefy. At this point, he might just be digging for the Ride the Wind. I can definitely see that. Or maybe a hard bargain to counter our Defy, which wouldn't work too well because we have tons of energy to pay for the hard bargain cost. All right, so he's going to start moving up to the abandoned hall with multiple units. So far, it's a Vex and a Fizz and a Ravenbloom student. So he's going to pass focus, and I think if I just take out the Vex here, I think it's good. So yeah, I think I'm just going to do that. I'll trade with the Vex and the Ravenbloom. And I'm going to be a little hard-pressed to see how he pulls this one out, but I'm totally here to find out what he does. Mistake on my part. That's going to proc my Zonias. Been there for a while. Forgot I had that. So my Rune Runner is going to survive. Wei is going to move into the Seat of Power along with the Diana. He'll get the move trigger. I'll move my Rune Runner up to 7 Might. And we will see what he pitches. It's going to be a Star-Crossed. He'll get an additional draw. Assuming he's going to pass focus here. He will use the Diana to pay for the Lunari effect. He's going to pick up a Ride the Wind, which luckily is not going to have a Vex behind it. He can still bring in like 3 Might, let's say, but that's not going to be enough to really turn this around. So he's going to pass focus. I will start, I think, with a Grim Resolve. Want to try to bait out any sort of negations he might have before I actually commit to the Primal Strength. That's going to go ahead and resolve. We'll see if he has anything to increase the might of his units any further. Obviously, the Ride the Wind brings another 3 might in. And then I just start playing other spells. I can also just defy the Ride the Wind. And I think, honestly, Ride the Wind is the spell I'm fearing the most. I don't think I'm worried about too much else. He is going to go for a Ride the Wind. I think I was actually going to move the Hui out. So he wants to move the Hui to the abandoned hall, then potentially maybe move it back. I think I just have to let that... I think I have to defy that. Because I don't want him getting additional move triggers, getting additional cards, and then getting like additional power. A flash here could be interesting. Probably has a second Ride the Wind, if I had to guess. Sure. That one's going to resolve. Can't do anything about that. So the Hui does get +1 from the abandoned hall resolving. Could also go +3 if he discards a unit. But then he'd have to have like a flash or another Ride the Wind to bring it back into the Seat of Power. And I don't think he's expecting the Primal Strength. Pitches Star-Cross off the Hui. We're still in this combat with the Diana Lunari. So he isn't going to let the Diana go. My Rune Runner will go back down to 8 for the turn. And it's just a matter of if he has a way to bring Hui back over here. But I have a really hard time believing he can get this thing over the Rune Runner. So that's going to be fine. He'll pull back the Hui. Get another move trigger. Pitching a Kha'Zix to go +3. And there's also the +1 from the abandoned hall. That all tracks. Hui is going to move up to the Seat of Power. I will get my passive +2 back. I imagine he's pitching another unit here. He'll actually pitch a spell. Maybe he just completely ran out of units, or maybe he was looking for something specific, but he's going to go ahead and call it GG. So we are going to take this one, and I think the name of this game was honestly Patience. I think that Patience got us there. We had plenty of spells to defend everything with, as well as just setting up the double Rune Runner set us up to really do well against blue-purple. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you guys enjoyed this one, let me know in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, as always, and I'll see you guys in the next one.